This week, we're going to be talking about writing an academic essay. We're going to be reading two short stories by Jack London, including To Build a Fire, the 1908 version of To Build a Fire, and Love of Life. Both of these are found in the Portable Jack London, one of our textbooks. So please, you should by this time have all your textbooks. The Portable Jack London is available at our library, at our bookstore. Please make sure you have a copy. You should be annotating your short stories as you're reading them. That means writing in them to show me that you're going to be showing me in our conferences, which will be coming in a few weeks. So please read these two short stories. We're going to have a conversation about contextualizing To Build a Fire. You're going to complete your second Launchpad research module. Number 2, Understanding Research and Introduction. You're going to complete a reflective journal, which will be a warm-up writing exercise for your essay, and you'll be actively reading the short story Love of Life. And finally, just a heads up that your essay will be due next week, not this week. You have a whole another week before you have to even really begin writing it, but the assignment is posted in this week's information. Just another reminder that you can visit Jack London State Historic Park anytime throughout the semester. The URL is here. You need to go on a docent-led tour. That means that you need to have someone with you that's giving you a guided tour of the park, and then write a 1 to 2 page response paper about what you learned about Jack London at the park. If you do so, you will receive up to 10 points extra credit. Sorry, 1 second. All right, so the first thing you're going to do this week, I'm going to go over actively reading To Build a Fire, but I want you to actively read both To Build a Fire and Love of Life. To Build a Fire is found on pages 136 to 158 in the Portable Jack London Reader. Remember, before you read it, you're going to think about the title, To Build a Fire. What could that possibly be about, right? You're going to think fire, maybe building it, right? Why would someone be building a fire? Really kind of brainstorm. Try to open up what it might be about. Ask yourself what the title tells you about the text. We know that this was written by Jack London. Find out, you do know a bit about the author. You should really pay attention to the fact that he lived in the Yukon region because it's set in that region. This is a short story, and we know it was published in 1908, this version of it, the one that you're going to be reading. Now, as you're reading it, please go through this list. Please make sure you interact with the text and write all over the book so that you really, really understand what's going on. Do it for the entire short story. Don't stop halfway through. So this week in our discussion forum, you're going to, after you've actively read To Build a Fire, then you're going to choose one of the following topics below, just one, to discuss with your peers. All of these must be taken, so if you see that no one has answered the fourth one, and you should probably answer that one. If I see that some of them are not answered as a group, you will lose points. So please make sure that everybody does their best to answer different questions. There's only 4, so several of you can do each one. So there's 4 different things that you can research. You're going to choose one of these. The first one is research the area where the man was traveling in To Build a Fire. Where was the Alaska Gold Rush? When was it? Try and identify on a map where the man traveled. Explain all of this information to your classmates using text and visual images. So I'd like you to upload pictures so that we really understand what you're talking about. Research survival strategies in extreme cold weather. What type of food should be consumed? What are some techniques for finding shelter? Explain all this information to your classmates using text and visual images. Research diseases and afflictions such as scurvy and frostbite of the early gold rush pioneers in the Klondike. What are the causes? How were they treated? What would be modern methods of prevention and treatment? Explain all of this information to your classmates using text and visual images. Research the equipment and or clothing that people would have worn in the 1890s for going to the Yukon. What were some of the limitations of the gear? the clothing. How has modern cold weather clothing changed? Explain all of the information to your classmates using text and visual images. Remember, you're only answering one of these sections, so one of the 4 bullets. You're going to post your initial response by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, and then you're going to respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts by Monday at 11:59 p.m. Remember, when you're responding to their post, you're extending the conversation. Bring it back to the short story. Talk about Jack London. Open it up to more ideas. So just to let you guys know, we're going to have our first essay due for this class on September 7th at 11:59 p.m. That means you have a whole week to get this done, and actually this date will probably move to September 8th because we don't have school on September 7th, so you get a bonus day. You're going to, for your essay, you're going to use the active reading checklist to actively read Love of Life and To Build a Fire. You're going to read this prompt to the right very carefully, and you're going to complete the pre-writing exercises that we're going to talk about in a second. Then you're going to draft your paper. Your paper should be 3 to 4 pages long. After you draft it, before you turn it in, you're going to edit it. You're going to do proofreading, and you're going to look for any spelling or grammatical errors. And you're going to make sure your paper is in MLA format. I will be going over that next week, but if you would like to review it, it's chapter 20 in the Bedford Researcher. Here's your prompt. Write an essay where you compare how each man battles for his survival in his natural environment in these 2 stories. What causes one man to survive versus the other? What do you believe was Jack London's main point about nature in writing these stories? Use evidence from the text and from any other text you've read so far in this class to support your answer. Your paper should be 3 to 4 pages long and should include an introduction, several body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The paper is due on Tuesday, September 8th at 11:59 p.m. For this week's reflection journal, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to answer questions about Love of Life. You're going to answer questions like, why doesn't Bill answer when he's called? What happens to Bill in the end of the story? How is the man in To Build a Fire different from Bill? When and where is Love of Life set? Can you find it on a map? What is it near? Where is the man headed in the story, and why do we believe he is headed there? Besides his injured ankle, what is the man's greatest problem? How does he deal with his problem? Describe the animals that appear throughout the story. How are they different or the same as the wolf in To Build a Fire? When the ship appears, do you think it was real? Why or why not? What does the man look like when he is rescued? Why does he look like this? How does he behave on the ship once he's rescued? Why does he behave this way? How is the man different? How is Bill different from the man in How is this man in Love of Life different from the man in To Build a Fire? Why does the man in Love of Life survive? For the second part, I'd like you to complete at least 2 different pre-writing exercises in order to prepare for writing the essay for the following week. Post these as your journal entry for the week. You will be graded on how much effort you put into this pre-writing process. I'm going to go over some pre-writing techniques in just a second. This is just all of your assignments, but your pre-writing will be for this essay, Essay 1. For Launchpad this week, you'll be completing your second research module, which is Understanding Research and Introduction, and it's due on the following Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Everything says Monday at 11:59 p.m., but I will give you through Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. All right, let's talk about academic writing. The writing process begins with pre-writing. You're going to use your pre-writing when you're writing an essay. You're going to use pre-writing as a way to generate ideas. The first thing you do whenever you're given an assignment in this class or any other class is you're going to review the assignment to understand what you need to accomplish with your writing. Step 2 is to choose your pre-writing technique. Oftentimes you're going to want to do more than one type of pre-writing. So to generate, you're going to do this as a way to generate ideas in order to figure out what you're going to talk about in your paper. So the first thing you can try is brainstorming. That's just where you'd use free association to stimulate a chain of ideas, often to personalize a topic or break it down. Do this alone or with a group of friends. So say you're writing about to build a fire and survival, you would just start associating ideas about this. You'd look at the questions, the prompt, what it's asking you, and free associate ideas. It doesn't even have to be complete sentences. It's just first thought, best thought, okay? Another way you can do it is by free writing. This is a way you tap into your unconscious by writing continuously without lifting your pen or pencil from the page for a specific amount of time. So how do you do it? You're going to write a sentence at the top of the page. You're going to write without stopping for at least 10 minutes. Don't censor yourself, so that don't let yourself write anything. Feel free to let your mind wander. If you get stuck, ask yourself questions such as, what interests you about the topic? What do you care most about? What do you know about it that the next person doesn't? What have you read about this topic, observed, or heard about? How might you feel about this topic if you were someone else? And then you want to repeat this process until you really have a good idea. So if you do this for about 10 minutes, you should have about a page worth of writing. Another way to do it, if you're really a visual person, is to doodle or sketch. You take a blank piece of paper and put a key visual at the center of the page, and then add sketches or doodles as they occur to you, and embellish and define it to redirect your topic. So just draw visual representations of a brainstorm. You can also do this through mapping. You can use Post-it notes, or you can use mind mapping software as a way to put the topic in the middle of the page and then start putting sticky notes outside, like maybe subtopics of that one topic. So say you were talking about survival in the Klondike, right? And maybe you wanted to look at survival gear and survival, what food you should eat to survive. So you put all these different topics around it, and then you'd brainstorm off of that into smaller topics. So really a great way to open up your mind to more ideas. You can also ask reporters questions. You can ask yourself who, what, where, when, why, and how about these topics, and you can look at these examples here on the right as a way to ask yourself questions about the topic. These are your pre-writing techniques that I'd like you to go through and practice as you are getting ready to write your essay. Next week, your essay will be due at the end of the week. We are going to be reading a short story called The Apostate. It's one of my favorites by Jack London. And watching a video by Cecilia Ticci on Jack London. But just so you're clear, this week what you're doing, you're going to complete Launchpad by the end of the week, the next research module. You're going to complete a reflection journal with 2 parts. One is questions about law of life and comparing it to build a fire. And the second part is pre-writing for your essay, which is due the following week. This is information about your essay that isn't due this week, it's due next week. This is the discussion forum. This should probably take a lot of your time this week. Remember, you must post your own post by Friday. You are only answering one of these questions, not all 4, just one. And you're going to use visual images and references. I highly recommend going to the library, our library, or at least looking on the online databases that are available to us. I will be posting some possible sources later this week for you to look at. And don't forget, you can always get extra credit by going to Jack London State Historic Park. Alright guys, that's it for this week. Don't forget, you can come visit me in my office hours if you have questions, or you can send me an email. I'm happy to help. Look forward to seeing you online.